3 weeks after the raid, the Korthax pirates were feeling confident. The attack on the refugee station had been disappointing. No valuable hostages, no major loot, but they had gotten away clean. The Alliance was too busy fighting the Dominion to chase down every small pirate crew. They had hit a dozen targets since then. Life was good. The pirate ship Ravager hung in space near an asteroid field, engines idling while the crew prepared for their next raid. Inside the command center, the captain reviewed possible targets on his display screen. Rich merchant convoys. Poorly defended outposts. Easy pickings. "Captain," his sensor officer called out. "We have ships approaching. Multiple contacts." The captain looked up with mild interest. "Alliance?" "No, sir. They are civilian vessels. Merchant ships mostly. Some transports. A few look like old military conversions, but nothing current. Probably traders looking for safe passage through the asteroids." The captain waved a hand dismissively. "Hail them. Tell them to change course or pay a toll." The sensor officer's mandibles clicked nervously. "Sir, there are a lot of them. I count 47 ships. And they are not changing course. They are heading straight for us." Now the captain paid attention. 47 ships was not a merchant convoy. That was a fleet. He pulled up the sensor data on his own screen and felt the first stirring of unease. "Get me visuals," he ordered. The main screen flickered to life. The approaching ships were a mismatched collection of vessels, nothing uniform about them. But they were all moving in formation, and they were all armed. The captain could see weapon ports opening, shields powering up. "Hail them," he said. "Find out what they want." The communications officer worked her controls. "Channel open, sir." "Attention unidentified vessels," the captain said in standard. "You are approaching a Korthax ship. State your business or be considered hostile." There was a long pause. Then a voice came through the speakers, a human female speaking in standard with a slight accent. "Korthax vessel Ravager. This is Captain Haijin Nam of the merchant ship Indomitable. We are here to discuss a matter of justice." "Justice?" The pirate captain laughed. "We are pirates. We do not care about your justice." "You should," Haijin said. Her voice was cold. 3 weeks ago you raided a refugee station in Sector 7? Do you remember that?" The captain felt a chill run down his spine. "We raid many places. I do not keep track." "Let me refresh your memory," Haijin said. "You found a human woman there. A teacher. You beat her. Broke her bones. Left her bleeding on the floor. All because she would not tell you where the children were hidden." The captain remembered now. The soft human who had lied to them. Who had wasted their time. What of it? She was in the way. "She was protecting children," Haijin said. "Alien children. Not even her own species. And you hurt her for it, so?" The captain was genuinely confused. "What does that have to do with you?" "Everything," Haijin said. "Because she is human. And we are human. And humans do not forget when someone hurts one of ours." The captain looked at the 47 ships on his screen. "You came all this way for revenge? For one human who was protecting alien brats?" "Yes," Haijin said simply. "We came for you." Before the captain could respond, the human fleet opened fire. The Ravager was a military-grade vessel, stolen from an Alliance depot 5 years ago. It had shields, armor, and enough weapons to take down ships 3 times its size. Against a single human merchant ship, it would have been an easy fight. Against 47 human ships, it was a slaughter. The pirates tried to fight back. They fired their main cannons at the closest human ship, a battered old transport called Soul's Hammer. The transport's shields flickered but held. Then the transport rammed them. The impact threw the captain from his chair. Alarm screamed. The transport had sacrificed itself, crashing into the Ravager's starboard side and tearing a massive hole in the hull. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut, but the damage was done. "They are insane," the weapons officer shouted. "They just rammed us with their own ship. All ships, focus fire." The captain yelled. "Take them down." But the humans were not fighting like any enemy the pirates had faced before. They did not care about their own ships. One transport would ram the Ravager while 3 others fired on the exposed sections. When the pirates turned their weapons to target those ships, fighters would swoop in from another angle. When the fighters were driven off, another transport would sacrifice itself. It was not a battle. It was a coordinated execution. Shields at 20%. Someone screamed. Hull breaches on 7 decks. They are everywhere. The captain watched his crew panic and felt fear settling in his gut. Send a distress signal. Tell the syndicate we are under attack. Signal sent, sir. But it will be hours before anyone can reach us. Hours they did not have. The captain knew that now. Another impact. Another hull breach. The Ravager was dying. All ships, cease fire, came Hagen's voice over the communications channel. Ravager crew, you have one chance to surrender. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. If you refuse, we will destroy your ship and everyone on it. The captain looked around his command center. Half the consoles were dead. The other half were showing critical failures across every system. His crew stared at him with frightened eyes. We surrender, he said quietly. The boarding party came through the main airlock 30 minutes later. They were human, armed with basic weapons and wearing old-style armor. The leader was a tall man with gray in his hair and eyes that had seen too much war. I am Commander Ji-hoon Beek, he said. Where is your captain? The pirate crew pointed. Ji-hoon walked over and looked down at the Korthax captain. You hurt a teacher, Ji-hoon said. A human teacher protecting alien children. Do you understand what you did? I hurt one human, the captain said, trying to sound defiant. So what? Humans are weak, fragile, everyone knows this. You are right, Ji-hoon said. We are weak. Our bodies break easily. We die young. In a straight fight, most species can beat us. He leaned closer. But you made a mistake. You hurt one of ours in front of children she was protecting. You showed the entire galaxy what happens when someone threatens a human's kids. And now you get to learn what humans do to people who hurt our own. What are you going to do? The captain asked, and for the first time there was real fear in his voice. We are not going to kill you, Ji-hoon said. That would be too easy. No, we are going to take you back to that station. You are going to stand trial in front of the woman you beat and the children she protected. You are going to face justice. The syndicate will come for me. Let them, Ji-hoon said. Let them come. Let every pirate in the galaxy know if you touch a human, especially one protecting children, we will find you. We will hunt you across every system. We will sacrifice our ships and our lives if we have to. Because that is what humans do. We protect our own, and we never, ever forget. The pirate captain was dragged off his ship. His crew was taken into custody by the Alliance. Haijin had sent word ahead, and Alliance ships had arrived to handle the prisoners. But the captain, he belonged to the humans, back on the refugee station. Yuna was in the classroom with the children when Taiyang came to find her. She had been released from medical 2 weeks ago against Minji's advice and had immediately gone back to teaching. Yuna, Taiyang said. They found them. The pirates who attacked the station. Yuna looked up from the book she had been reading to the children. Did the Alliance arrest them? Not exactly. A fleet of human ships found them first. They are bringing the pirate captain here. To you, for justice. Yuna went very still. What? Humans across the galaxy saw what happened to you. They went hunting. And they found them. Taiyang smiled, but it was not a happy smile. The galaxy is learning something new about humans. We may be weak individually, but together we are something else entirely. 3 days later, the pirate captain stood in the station's main hall, hands bound, surrounded by human security officers. Yuna stood across from him. The children were there too, safe behind a clear barrier but able to see everything. The captain looked at Yuna. Her face still showed fading bruises. Her arm was still in a light cast, but she stood straight and her eyes were clear. You, he said. This is all because of you? No, Yuna said quietly. This is because of what you did. You hurt someone protecting children. In human culture, there is no worse crime. They were not even your children, the captain said, still not understanding. They were aliens. Different species. Why do you care? Yuna looked at the cubs behind the barrier. Pip waved at her with a small paw. She waved back. Because they are children, she said. And children deserve protection. It does not matter what species they are. It does not matter if they share my DNA. They are young and innocent and they needed someone to keep them safe. That is enough. The captain stared at her for a long moment. Then he looked at the human officers surrounding him. At Commander Jihoon and Captain Haijin and all the others who had come. Finally he looked back at Yuna. Your species is insane, he said. Maybe, Yuna agreed. But we are insane in a way that protects children. I think that is okay. The trial was short. The evidence was clear. The captain was found guilty and handed over to Alliance authorities for sentencing. But the message had been sent. Word spread across the galaxy. Humans were soft and weak, yes. But they were also fiercely protective. Yuna woke up in medical 3 hours later. Her body was wrapped in regeneration bandages that hummed softly with healing energy. The pain was still there but distant now, muffled by medication. Minji sat in a chair beside the bed, data pad in hand, looking exhausted. You should be resting, Yuna said, her voice rough. Minji looked up. Look who is talking. You should be unconscious for the next day at least. But here you are, awake and probably planning to escape medical as soon as I turn my back. I need to check on the children. The children are fine. Tiang has someone watching them. You need to focus on healing. Minji set down her data pad and leaned forward. Yuna, what you did was incredibly brave. And incredibly stupid. Do you have any idea how close you came to dying? Close enough, Yuna admitted. The pirates could have killed you. But they did not. And the children are safe. Minji shook her head. I will never understand how your brain works. Most people have self-preservation instincts. I have other instincts that are stronger, Yuna said down the hall. In the engineering section of the station, Seung-ho Kang was staring at his computer screen with a sick feeling in his stomach. He had pulled the security footage from the attack, looking for information about the pirates. What he had found instead made him want to throw up. The footage showed everything. It showed Yuna sealing the children in the shelter. It showed her going back for medicine. It showed the pirates grabbing her, dragging her away. And it showed in horrible detail what they had done to her in the storage section, but it also showed something else. It showed Yuna lying, giving false information, taking beating after beating and never giving up the children's location. It showed her crawling back, broken and bleeding, because she had made a promise to 6 alien cubs who were not even her species. Seung-ho had served in the human merchant fleet before settling on the station. He still had contacts. Friends scattered across a dozen systems. Other humans who had left Earth to make their way in a galaxy that often did not understand them. He looked at the footage again. Then he looked at his contact list. Then he made a decision that he knew he would probably get fired for. He sent the footage to Captain Haijin Nam of the merchant vessel Indomitable. Haijin was old fleet, tough as nails, and she had a network of contacts that spanned half the galaxy. If anyone would know what to do with this, it would be her. He attached a simple message. This is what they did to one of ours. To a teacher protecting alien children? Thought you should know? Then he hit send and waited. The response came 6 hours later. Just 2 words, holy shit. Haijin Nam sat in her captain's chair and watched the footage for the 3rd time. Her crew had gathered around her, all of them silent as they watched. When it ended, no one spoke for a long moment. That is Yuna Park, said her first officer, a young woman named Jiwoo. I met her once, 2 years ago, when we docked at that station. She was so kind. She helped me find medicine for my sister. She is a teacher, Haijin said quietly, taking care of refugee kids. And they beat her like that because she would not give them up. The kids are not even human, someone said from the back. Does not matter, Haijin said. They are kids. She is human. That makes them hers to protect. She stood up from her chair. Send this to everyone you know. Every human ship, every human settlement, every human you have ever met. They need to see this. Captain, Jiwoo said carefully, the Alliance might not like us spreading this around. It could cause problems. Let it cause problems, Haijin said. Her voice was hard. Someone hurt one of our teachers. Someone beat a human woman who was protecting children. I want everyone to see what happened. I want everyone to know. The footage spread like wildfire through human networks. Ship to ship, station to station, settlement to settlement. Humans across the galaxy watched as one of their own was beaten, broken, and still crawled back to keep a promise to alien children. The reaction was immediate and visceral. On a mining station near the Outer Rim, a group of human workers watched the footage in their common room. When it ended, the room was silent. Then someone punched the wall hard enough to crack the metal. Who were they? Someone asked. The pirates? Korthak Syndicate, another replied, pulling up information. I recognize their armor. Where are they now? Does anyone know? Because I think we need to have a conversation with them. On a colony world, a human security officer named Ji-hoon Beek watched the footage with his team. Ji-hoon was ex-military, retired from the Alliance Navy after 20 years of service. He had seen a lot of terrible things in his time. But something about this footage hit him differently. That could have been any of us, he said quietly. Any human in that position would have done the same thing. Protected the kids. Taken the beating. Kept the promise. The galaxy thinks we are weak because we care so much, said one of his team. Let them think that, Ji-hoon said. But we know the truth. Caring is not weakness. Caring is what makes us dangerous. He stood up. Get me contact information for every human ship within 10 systems. We need to talk. On a transport ship, pilot Yunji Kwan watched the footage while her hands gripped the controls so hard her knuckles went white. She had a daughter back on Earth, about the same age as those alien cubs looked. The thought of someone hurting a teacher who was protecting any children, made her blood boil. Find the pirates, she told her navigator. I do not care what it takes. Find them. Within 2 days, the footage had reached hundreds of human ships and settlements. And with it came a message that seemed to write itself. Passed from human to human with slight variations but always the same core meaning. They hurt one of our teachers. They beat her in front of her children. They thought we would not care because the children were not human. They thought wrong. Find them. Make them answer for what they did. Taiying showed up at medical on the second day. He found Yuna trying to get out of bed despite Minji's protests. Yuna, he said, and his voice was tight. We need to talk. If this is about me leaving medical early, it is about the footage, Taiyang interrupted. He looked uncomfortable. Someone sent security footage of the attack to human ships. It has spread? A lot of humans have seen what happened to you. Yuna went still. Oh? Taiyang repeated. Yuna, do you understand what this means? Every human with a ship and a weapon has seen what the pirates did to you. They are angry. Very angry. We are getting messages from all over. Humans asking for information about the pirates. Asking about you. Offering help, ships, weapons. That is not necessary, Yuna said quickly. I am fine. The children are fine. We do not need. It is not about what you need, Taiyang said. It is about what they need. Humans across the galaxy just watched one of their own get beaten half to death for protecting alien children. They need to do something about it. And honestly, Yuna, I do not think anything is going to stop them. 3 days after the footage started spreading, the first ships began to arrive. Not military ships. Not official Alliance vessels. Just human ships. Merchants, transports, private vessels, old military surplus that had been bought and converted for civilian use. They did not dock at the station. They just gathered in the space around it, silent and waiting. Within a week, there were more than 40 ships. In medical, Yuna watched through the window as more ships arrived. Minji stood beside her. They came because of you, Minji said softly. They came because someone hurt a human, Yuna corrected. And humans do not forget. What are they going to do? I do not know, Yuna said. But she had a feeling that, whatever it was, the Korthax pirates who had beaten her were about to learn a very important lesson about humans. They cared deeply for their own, and they had very long memories. The question hung in the air between them. Pip's small paw reached out but stopped before touching Yuna, as if afraid that even a gentle touch might hurt her more. The other children were climbing out of the shelter now, moving slowly. Their eyes locked on their teacher. Yuna tried to answer, but her throat was too damaged. She coughed and more blood came up. She wiped her face again with her sleeve, smearing the blood across her cheek. The sleeve was already ruined anyway. Pirates, she finally managed to whisper. Bad people. But they are gone now. Tik moved closer, crystal body catching the emergency lights. The insectoid child's head tilted at an angle that would have been impossible for a human. Why did they hurt you? They wanted information, Yuna said. Each word hurt. I did not give it to them. What information? This came from one of the other cubs, a small being with too many legs and eyes that glowed faintly in the dim light. Yuna looked at each of them in turn. They wanted to know where you were? I told them lies. Sent them to empty rooms. The children went very still. Even in her pain-fogged state, Yuna could sense their confusion. It was something deeper than just not understanding. It was like she had said something in a language they did not know existed. Pip's paw finally made contact with Yuna's arm, the one that was not broken. The touch was feather-light. You were hurt because of us? No, Yuna said firmly, though it cost her. I was hurt because I chose to protect you. That is different. Why? Tik asked. The crystal child's voice had a strange quality, like wind chimes. Why would you choose that? Yuna blinked. The question seemed so obvious that at first she did not understand it. Then she remembered she was not talking to human children. These were alien cubs, raised in cultures where the rules were different. Because you are my children, Yuna said simply. That is what adults do. We protect the young. But we are not your genetic offspring, Tik said. There was no emotion in the statement, just confusion. We do not carry your DNA. We cannot continue your family line. In my species, adults only protect their own genetic children. Other children are not the responsibility of unrelated adults. Among Krell, said another cub, younglings are taught to survive on their own from hatching. If they cannot survive, they are not worth the resources to save them. Pip made a small sound of agreement. In my world, litters are large. 10-15 pups at once. If some die, there are always others. Adults do not risk themselves for young that may not survive anyway. Yuna stared at them. Even through the pain, even through the fog in her head, she felt something cold settle in her stomach. That is terrible. That is normal, Tik corrected. For us, for most species in the galaxy, young are replaceable. Adults are valuable, they have skills, experience, knowledge. It makes no sense to sacrifice an adult for a youngling. We thought you would run, Pip said quietly. When the bad people came, we thought you would save yourself. That is what Teacher Krell did before you came. When there was danger, he hid and left us alone. We did not expect you to come back, said another cub. When you sealed the door, we thought that was goodbye. We were waiting for new adults to come find us. Or for no one to come at all? Yuna felt tears mixing with the blood on her face. I would never do that. I would never leave you. But why? Tik asked again, frustrated now. It does not make sense. You are injured now. You might have died. If you had died, you could not teach any children ever again. You could not make your own offspring. You would have ended your genetic line for children that are not even your species. This is irrational. Maybe to you, Yuna said. But not to me. Not to humans. She tried to sit up. Her broken ribs screamed in protest, but she managed it, leaning against the wall. The children gathered around her in a semicircle, staring at her with their alien eyes. "Listen to me," Yuna said. "I need you to understand something about humans. We are different from most species. I did not know how different until right now, but we are. In my species, all children are precious. Not just our own, all of them. If a human sees a child in danger, any child, any species, our instinct is to protect them. We cannot help it. It is built into who we are." "That is a genetic flaw," Teak said. "It reduces survival rates for adults." "Maybe," Yuna admitted, "but it is who we are, and I would not change it." Pip climbed into Yuna's lap, careful of her injuries. The small body was warm and soft. "You could have died for us. Yes, you would do it again?" "Yes, even though we are not human?" "Especially because you are not human," Yuna said. "You need protection more. You are small and young, and you have already lost your parents. Someone has to keep you safe. Someone has to love you." The word seemed to confuse them even more. "Love?" asked one of the cubs. Yuna stroked Pip's soft fur with her good hand. "Love is when you care about someone so much that their safety and happiness matter more than your own. When you would do anything, sacrifice anything, to keep them from harm. When just seeing them smile makes your whole day better. Humans feel this for non-related young?" Teak asked. "Humans feel this for anyone we care about," Yuna said. "Friends, partners, children, related or not. Even sometimes for pets or animals. We form bonds. We cannot help it. Some other species call it a weakness. They say we get too attached. But it is what makes us human." The children were quiet for a long time. Yuna could almost see them trying to process this information, trying to fit it into their understanding of how the world worked. Finally, Pip looked up at Yuna with those big black eyes. "I am glad you are human, Teacher Yuna." "Me too," whispered another cub. "As am I," said Tik, "even if it is irrational." The door to the classroom opened. Medical Officer Minji Song rushed in with 2 assistants carrying equipment. She saw Yuna and went pale. "Oh God, Yuna, what did they do to you?" "I am okay," Yuna said, though she very clearly was not. "You are not okay. You look like you were thrown down a reactor shaft." Minji knelt beside her, scanner already out and running over Yuna's body. "Broken arm, 3 cracked ribs, possible internal bleeding, concussion, lacerations. Yuna, you should be unconscious right now. How are you even sitting up?" "The children needed me," Yuna said simply. Minji looked at the cubs gathered around Yuna like a protective circle. Then she looked back at Yuna's broken face and the blood-soaked sleeve she had used to wipe it clean. For a moment, the professional medical officer's mask slipped and Minji's eyes filled with tears. "You are an idiot," Minji said, voice shaking. "A brave, stupid, wonderful idiot. Come on, let's get you to medical." "Can you walk?" "No," Yuna admitted. "Then we carry you." Minji gestured to her assistants. "Carefully. Watch the ribs." As they lifted her onto a stretcher, Yuna kept her eyes on the children. "Take care of them," she said. "Until I come back?" "You need at least a week in medical," Minji said. "I will be back tomorrow." "Yuna, tomorrow," Yuna said firmly. Then she passed out. The last thing she heard before the darkness took her was Pip's small voice. "She will come back," she promised. And humans keep their promises. The alarm screamed through the station at midday, right in the middle of lunch. Yuna dropped the bowl she had been holding. It shattered on the floor, spilling soup across the metal tiles. The children looked up at her with wide, frightened eyes. "Pirates," came Taeyang's voice over the station speakers. "All personnel to defensive positions. Civilians to shelters immediately." Yuna's training kicked in. She had practiced this drill with the children 100 times, but her hands still shook as she opened the hidden panel in the classroom floor. The shelter underneath was small and dark, barely large enough for 6 small bodies. "Down," she said, trying to keep her voice calm. "Do just like we practiced." Teak went first, crystal body refracting the emergency lights. Then Pip and the others scrambling down the ladder. They were scared, but they listened. That was good. Yuna had taught them well. Teacher Yuna? Pip's voice came from below, small and worried. I am right here, Yuna said. I am closing the door now. Remember, stay quiet. Stay together. I will come back for you. Promise? Pip asked. Promise, Yuna said, and meant it with everything she had. She sealed the shelter door. The mechanism clicked into place, nearly invisible against the floor. Unless someone knew exactly where to look, they would never find it. Yuna had made sure of that dot outside the classroom. She could hear sounds, crashes, shouting, the high-pitched whine of energy weapons. The station's defenses were not strong. This was a refuge, not a military base. They had basic shields and a few security officers. That was all. Yuna ran to the medical supply closet. One of the children, the smallest one, had been sick yesterday. She had medicine in the upper cabinet that he would need if they had to stay hidden for long. Her hands fumbled with the lock. The classroom door exploded inward. 3 figures stepped through the smoke. They were Korthax, Yuna realized with a sinking feeling in her stomach. Korthax pirates were the worst, kind, brutal, efficient, and completely without mercy. They wore heavy armor and carried weapons that looked like they could punch through the station's walls. The lead pirate was massive, his armored suit making him look even larger. He saw Yuna and laughed, a harsh sound that came through his helmet speakers. A human, he said in rough standard. Where are the valuable ones? The refugees? Yuna backed up against the wall. Her heart was hammering so hard she thought it might break out of her chest. I do not know what you mean. The pirate moved fast. His armored hand grabbed her throat and lifted her off the ground. Yuna's feet kicked at empty air. She could not breathe. Do not lie, the pirate said. We have the station's records. High-value refugees are in this section. Children, worth a lot to the right buyers. Where are they? He dropped her. Yuna fell to her knees, gasping for air. Her throat felt like it was on fire. Answer me, the pirate said. Yuna looked up at him. Then she looked at the floor where the hidden door was. She could not see the outline anymore. She had designed it too well. But she knew exactly where her children were hiding. Level 3, she lied. Storage section. There's a hidden room behind the water tanks. The pirate stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned to his companions. Check it. Take her with us. If she is lying, we will make her regret it. They dragged Yuna out of the classroom. She did not fight. Fighting would make them suspicious. Instead, she let them pull her through the corridors, past the bodies of station security officers who had tried to defend their home. Yuna saw Dong-Yun Lim lying near his post, not moving. She had to look away. The storage section was 3 levels down. It took the pirates 10 minutes to realize there was nothing there. No hidden room. No children? Nothing. The lead pirate turned to Yuna. You lied. Yes, Yuna said. The first hit broke her nose. Blood poured down her face, hot and copper-tasting. The second hit cracked something in her ribs. Pain exploded through her chest, so sharp she could not even scream. Where are they? The pirate demanded. Yuna spat blood on the floor. Go to hell. They beat her for information she would not give. They asked about the children, about other refugees, about the station's defense codes. Yuna told them nothing. She made up lies, sent them to empty sections, said whatever she thought would waste their time. After a while, the pain became distant. Yuna felt like she was floating somewhere above her own body, watching it happen to someone else. Her left arm hung at a wrong angle. Broken, probably. Her ribs were definitely cracked. Maybe broken too. She had lost count of how many times they had hit her. The station shook. Alarms blared again, different this time. Alliance ships, Yuna thought distantly. Help was coming. The pirates knew it too. The leader cursed it in his own language and kicked Yuna one more time. Worthless, he said. Leave her. Take what we can and get out. They ran. Yuna heard their boots clanging on the metal floors, getting quieter. Then silence. She lay on the cold floor and tried to breathe. It hurt, everything hurt, but the children were safe. That was all that mattered. Yuna did not know how long she lay there. Time felt strange. Minutes or hours, she could not tell. The pain made everything fuzzy. She thought she might be dying. That was okay. The children were safe. Someone would find them. Taang would find them, but then she remembered Pip's small voice. Promise? She had promised. She had promised to come back. Yuna moved her right arm. It still worked. She used it to drag herself forward. One pull, then another. The floor was slippery with her blood. She left a trail behind her like a wounded animal, 3 levels up. That was all. Just 3 levels. It took forever. Yuna crawled when she could, dragged herself when she could not. Her vision kept going dark at the edges. She would stop, rest, then keep going. Up the stairs, down the corridor, past the bodies, past the destroyed walls and broken equipment. The classroom door was still open. Still smoking. Yuna pulled herself through it and lay there for a moment. Gathering the last of her strength, the hidden door was right there. Just a few feet away, Yuna crawled to it. Her working hand found the release mechanism. The door opened with a soft hiss. 6 small faces stared up at her from the darkness below. Yuna tried to smile. She did not know if she managed it. Her face felt wrong, swollen and wet. She wiped at it with her sleeve, trying to clear the blood from her eyes so she could see the children better. It is okay, she said, or tried to say. Her voice came out broken and wet. You are safe now. I came back. I promised. The children did not move. They just stared at her with huge, shocked eyes. Yuna realized what she must look like, covered in blood, broken, barely human anymore. Then Pip moved. The small cub climbed up the ladder on shaking legs. Those big black eyes looked at Yuna's face, at her broken arm, at all the blood. In a tiny, confused voice, Pip asked, Teacher Yuna, who did this to you? Yuna Park wiped the blue chalk dust from her hands and smiled at the 6 small faces staring up at her. Well, faces was not quite the right word. Pip had a furry snout with large black eyes. Teek's head was all angles and crystal, refracting light in soft rainbows. The others were just as different from each other, but Yuna had learned to read their expressions over the past 3 years. Again, Teek clicked in Standard, the common language of the galaxy. Show us again. Yuna laughed and picked up the brush. She dipped it in water and moved it across the paper in smooth strokes. The children watched as the painting took shape, a simple flower, nothing fancy, just something pretty. When she finished, she held it up. Art is not just for looking, Yuna said. It is for feeling. What do you feel when you see this? Pip's small paw reached out to touch the paper. Soft, the cub whispered. Makes my chest warm. That is good, Yuna said, kneeling down to the cub's level. That is exactly right. The classroom was small, tucked away in the lower levels of the colony station. The station itself floated at the edge of Alliance space, far from the core worlds where the big decisions were made. Here, refugees came when they had nowhere else to go. The war between the Alliance and the Dominion had been going on for 12 years now. It had scattered families across 100 systems and left too many. Children without parents. Yuna had arrived on the station 3 years ago. She had not planned to stay. She had been traveling looking for work, trying to find her place in a galaxy that was still getting used to having humans around. Earth had only joined the Galactic Alliance 30 years before, and humans were still the new kids on the block. Most species thought of them as weak soft skin, fragile bones, lives so short they barely had time to learn anything before they died. But the station commander, Taang Choi, had been desperate. He had a dozen orphaned alien children and no one who knew how to care for them. The Krell who had been running the facility before had treated the children like small adults, expecting them to feed themselves and manage their own needs. Half of them had been sick when Yuna arrived. The other half had been silent and afraid. Yuna had taken one look at the children and unpacked her bags. That had been 3 years ago. Now the classroom was filled with drawings and paintings. Small beds lined one wall of the connected room where the children slept. Yuna had added soft blankets and pillows, things most alien species did not think to use. She had learned what each child could eat and what games they liked to play. She read them stories every night, translating human tales into standard, and watching their eyes grow wide at stories of brave knights and clever foxes. The door to the classroom opened. Tiang stepped inside, his uniform neat as always. He was tall for a human, with grays starting to show in his dark hair. He had been in the Alliance military before retiring to run this station, and he still carried himself like a soldier. "Miss Park," he said formally, though his eyes were kind. "We have visitors. Alliance inspectors. They want to see the facility." Yuna stood up, brushing chalk dust from her simple work clothes. "Now? In 1 hour? I wanted to give you time to prepare." After Taiying left, Yuna looked at the children. They had gone quiet, sensing the change in mood. She forced herself to smile. "It will be fine. Just be yourselves." But she felt the worry sitting heavy in her stomach. Alliance inspectors did not come all this way for nothing. The inspector who arrived was a Krell, like most of the Alliance officials. His name was Vorsix, and his scaled skin gleamed under the station's lights. He walked through the classroom with slow, measured steps, his large eyes taking in everything. 2 assistants followed him, carrying datapads and recording devices. "These children," Vorsix said, his voice deep and rumbling, "are wards of the Alliance. They come from important families. Some have considerable genetic value." Yuna felt her jaw tighten, but she kept her voice calm. "They are children. They need care and love and someone to teach them." Vorsix turned to look at her. At full height, he was twice as tall as Yuna, most Krell were. "And you believe a human is qualified to provide this care?" "I have kept them alive and healthy for 3 years, Yuna said. "They were sick when I arrived. Now they are not." "Yes," Vorsix said slowly. "We have noted the improvement. However, there is concern about your teaching methods. You teach them art, you teach them play. These are not practical skills." "They are children," Yuna repeated. "They need more than just practical skills." One of the assistants spoke up. "In Krell culture, young ones are taught survival and efficiency. Emotional development is considered a waste of resources." "Well, I am not Krell," Yuna said. Her hands were shaking, so she tucked them behind her back. "And human children need love and play to grow properly. I think all children do." Vorsix made a sound that might have been amusement or disapproval. Yuna could not tell. Humans have such strange ideas about child rearing. Most species do not invest so heavily in offspring. If one dies, another can be produced. But humans act as if each child is irreplaceable. "Because they are," Yuna said quietly. Pip had crept closer during the conversation. Now the small cub pressed against Yuna's leg, seeking comfort. Without thinking, Yuna reached down and stroked the soft fur. Pip made a small, happy sound. Vorsix watched this with his unblinking eyes. "Attachment," he said. "You have formed attachment to them. And they to you. This is inefficient. You will suffer when you must eventually leave. They will suffer when you die, which will be soon given your species' short lifespan." "Maybe," Yuna said. "But I would rather give them love for whatever time we have than no love at all." The inspection lasted another hour. Vorsix asked questions and made notes. He examined the children's health records and their learning progress. Finally, he and his assistants left. Tiang came by later to tell Yuna that the inspection report would be filed within a week. "Did I pass?" Yuna asked. Tiang gave her a small smile. "You did fine. But Yuna, you need to understand something. Most species do not think the way we do. They do not understand why you would sacrifice your time and energy for children that are not even your species. They think it makes us weak." "Let them think that," Yuna said. That night, after the children were asleep, Yuna sat by the window and looked out at the stars. The station was quiet. Somewhere out there, the war continued. Ships fought and died. Families were torn apart. And here in this small room, 6 children slept peacefully. Because one human had decided that their lives mattered, Yuna did not think of herself as special. She was just doing what felt right. But as she watched the stars, she wondered if maybe that was what made humans different. Not that they were stronger or smarter than other species. Just that they cared, even when it did not make sense to care. She did not know that this question would soon be answered in a way that would shake the entire galaxy.